Today on this 2010 Mini Clubman, we're going to review and install the Roadmaster Easy Base Plate Kit, part number 521877-1. This is what the bracket looks like when it's installed. These are the two openings here and here. When you're ready to tow it behind your motorhome, we can go ahead and put our arms into place. This tab vertical, push it in, rotate to the side. At this point, you're ready to attach your safety cables, which will go from our bracket out to your tow bar. Use the included quick link and cable. Of course, we got one for each side. Take a little closer look at one little detail right here. This extra hole is for a padlock right here to help secure the arms to the bracket. One other thing to know, that once it's connected to your tow bar, it can't move, but even like when it's horizontal, this cannot come out of here until you rotate it and take it out. We'll go ahead and cover the parts that come with the kit. First off, this is your main bracket right here. It's all welded one-piece unit, which is kind of nice. This does replace the impact bar, but it's already inside the vehicle. We have our arms that plug into the sockets right here. Pretty simple design. This little tab you line up on the inside until it goes all the way in, rotates it, locks into place. This is all the hardware it does come with the kit. It does also use some existing fasteners that's on the vehicle as well as some safety cables to go from our bracket out to our arms. So to make our connections, they have some quick links to go to our safety cables, which in turn will eventually go up to your tow bar. Now there'll be some lines that we have to move around inside the vehicle when we get to that point, and it includes some zip ties as well to help you out with that. First part of our install is that this bottom part here has to be removed from the vehicle. Now this will begin on the inside fender well here. We're on the driver's side, and there'll be a couple of fasteners we have to remove here and one up here. Some models may have three, one in this region right here. We're just going to use a Phillips head screwdriver. Just slowly back off the centers. Just light pressure, otherwise they're easy to strip out. So you pull out, so you unthread the middle, and you pull the whole assembly out. And you can see here we have the wheel turn, so it makes it a lot easier to get to. There. Now I'm going to go over to the passenger side now and repeat the same process. We'll pull back our fender liner. It's kind of flexible. Let's kind of work at it, push it back. Next, we're going to remove this fastening right here. On some models, there may be one up higher you have to remove as well, but we only have one here. So we'll take a flat blade screwdriver and catch the edge of it and pull the center out. And continue on with flat blade screwdriver, or a trim panel tool works too. Even an outside part will come out. Okay, driver's side's done. One more time over on the passenger side. Next, we're going to open up our hood, and we'll go ahead and work on loosening up the fender flare. Now to remove the fender flare, I found that a twisting motion like this will help loosen it up and pop it loose. Now it's all going to become loose maybe out to about here. There it goes. And we'll pull it back just enough. We have access to a screw right here. From inside the fender well, we can see our screw right here. Now I'm going to use a T25 Torx bit to remove it. Now let's go underneath the hood. There'll be 4 plastic fasteners we have to remove. Same principle, center worked loose with a screwdriver, and then we'll pull out the center. We'll go ahead and remove this chrome piece or the bottom of the grill right here. We can pull out on it and it should unsnap. This little edge you kind of got to work around and it hooks up underneath here. Now we can remove the grill. We'll push in this little tab and pull out. There's a few of them going across. Grill out of the way, we can remove 1 or 2 bolts here and here. Again, we'll need our T25 Torx bit to remove them. Now we'll go back underneath the car here, along the bottom edge of the fascia. We'll have 5 fasteners to remove. We have 1 screw here with our T25 bolt. We have this 1 screw here we'll remove a T25 socket or Torx bit. We've got 3 plastic fasteners in the center remove. And of course our vehicle was missing our last screw. On these plastic fasteners, once again, we'll get the center part loosened up with a screwdriver. And then we'll go ahead and use a trim panel tool to get the rest of it out. Right, we're almost ready to take off our bumper cover here. Now our fog lights are connected to it, so we need to disconnect them electrically. So typically there's a little tab you push on a plug and it comes apart. On our passenger side here, we got at least a few. Don't forget this guy on the bottom here. It's a little bit easier to see. This little tab right here helps push in first, push that tab in, and then pull apart. Okay, that's it for our passenger side. Let's go over to our driver's side and disconnect over there. Now I'll repeat the same thing on our driver's side, but there will only be 2 wires that have to take apart here. Electric disconnected. We can go ahead and pull it away. All right, now there's still some little parts we have to loosen up before we take our bumper core off. This little wire harness right here. We can just pop it loose for now. Just like so. Down here at the bottom, this plastic support for the radiator is connected right here with this little screw, so we'll go ahead and remove that. We'll use a T20 bit for this fastener. At the top, we're going to remove this screw since we have our bit handy, the same one. And we'll move on to the bigger hardware. Now to remove these bolts, the head of the bolt's on the inside, and we'll loosen them up using a 13mm socket. Next one up right here. Now we'll move on to the other hardware here, 1, 2, and 3. And again, we'll be using the same 13mm socket. And one at the top will be last. I'm just going to loosen this up towards the ends of the threads to help hold the side up until we're ready to completely take it off. Now, all this hardware, we'll repeat the same process back over on our driver's side. We'll remove our last fastener here. We can go ahead and remove the core support. Now we're ready to put our bracket into place. We'll go ahead and install it over existing hardware. And to add to that, we're going to use some thread locker on the threads as well. We'll be using part number LT37420 from Loctite. Add a little bit to our threads here. And we'll also be reusing our existing hardware that we took off earlier. Hold it in place. And for now, we'll loosely install our original hardware. Now we can start adding our new hardware with our red Loctite. We have our 3/8 bolt, flat washer, lock washer, and 3/8 nut. We're just going to run this through the existing holes right here. Bolt goes through first, then the rest of our hardware. Okay. Now we'll move up a spot to right here and reinstall the same hardware. Remember a little plastic support here? We'll go ahead and reinstall the screw. Now we'll go ahead and reinstall this same hardware back over on our driver's side. Now at this point we have all our hardware loosely installed. Now we'll go ahead and tighten them down and then torque them down as specified in the instructions. Now at this point, our base plate's fully installed, aside from reassembling the vehicle. If you're going to install some wiring for your taillights, now would be a good time to do that, to run it down to your base plate and leave a little excess right here after you put your grill back into place. Now let's turn our attention to the inside of the bumper cover here. This is the ambient temperature sensor right here. This actually needs to be lowered to a spot right here, because this area here is where we're going to need to cut out for our bracket and for our arms to go inside the vehicle. So we just pull this up and out of the way, pretty simple. And we'll loosen up this wire harness right here. There's a little clip that we can just pull it apart. This will give us some slack. We're going to install at this location right here. And all we got to do is just drill a 1/4-inch hole in it and then reinstall it this way. All right, now we have our bumper cover back into place very temporarily with just 2 fasteners on top, holding it up there for us. And now we can see what we need to cut out on our bumper cover. About like that to cut that out. We'll do that for starters on both sides. After we make our cut, we'll do another test fit to make sure it all fits okay. Now to make our cuts, I'm just going to use a brand new blade and knife. And if you work it back and forth like this, you can make your cuts all the way down, or following our bars that we marked for cutting out. Now when you get over here, there's a vertical surface on the inside that you'll run into, so that'll give you a little bit of a problem, but you can cut through it. Now, optional, but I'm going to use a file right here, kind of just smooth off the rough edges and get rid of any little debris that's hanging on there. Now I got our holes cut out. Now there is still some interference with these edges we were talking about earlier. Now I know exactly where we need to cut. So we got our marks. So I'm just going to clean off the thing from here to this. There's a rib right here. Now we'll have to take a series of test cuts to make sure we get everything fitting around our bracket here. So that necessitated going across over here a little bit and putting it into place. And then once you're happy with your fit, then we'll go ahead and reinstall all our fasteners and all the other components, basically in reverse order as we did before. And that'll finish it for the Roadmaster Easy Baseplate Kit, part number 521877-1 on this 2010 Mini Clubman.
Click the link below to shop, learn more, or visit us at etrailer.com.